Hey guys, Kaylin and Riley, we're back. We're going to be talking about evaluating expressions that look something like this. Evaluate, it gives you an expression when a letter equals a number and a letter equals a number. A letter, fancy word, is a variable. So even though there's letters, there's equal signs, again, we're not solving, we're simplifying. Evaluate is just another word for simplifying. So in this example, it says evaluate x minus 3c. So anytime you see a problem that says evaluate, gives you an expression, then it says when, and it has a letter equals a number, it's essentially just asking you to substitute in a number for a letter. You could think about this as, here's you playing soccer, okay? Here's the soccer field, and here's the bench, okay? And you're tired, and you need to leave the field, and say you're a defender, and your coach is going to substitute in another defender for you. So here's the steps. Step 1, put parentheses around the letters. And this step is going to be especially important when we get to exponents. So, first step, put parentheses around the letters. Second step, take out the letters, replace with numbers. Sorry if that's hard to read. So, make sure you're substituting them in the right spot. So put in your parentheses, but when you substitute in, make sure you're substituting them in for the right position. So x, that's like me being a defender. Make sure you're putting a defender in for a defender. Okay, and again, you'll have the problem written above you, so just double check it's in the right spot. Okay, here's offense. Make sure that you're putting in the right person. So here's my -6. Okay, so I've substituted it in. The last step is Pemdas. Okay, I'm just going to shorthand it. Pemdas just means simplify it. So I'm not going to leave it like this. I'm going to use Pemdas to simplify it. So I'm going to erase this so we have some room. Okay. So we've done a bunch of problems with Pemdas, order of operations. So I'm not just going to go left to right. I'm going to use order of operations. Order of operations tells me that when I see a problem that has more than just one operation, for instance, I see subtraction, I see multiplication, I need to use Pemdas. So let me just write Pemdas next to this problem so we don't forget our rules. Okay. So, I see that I'm going to multiply before I subtract. I'm going to go ahead and circle this, okay? If I had circled with that minus, then I would see this as a -3, but I didn't circle it. So, when I rewrite it, I'm seeing this as 6 minus, and then whatever I get after I multiply these. If I had circled it with that minus, then I would interpret it as a -3 times a -6, but I'm interpreting it as bring down the subtraction, +3 times a +6. So positive times a negative is a -18. Alright, so from this step right here, again that double negative thing, if I'm subtracting a negative, I'm really adding. So 6 plus 18 is going to give me 24. So if you haven't written this down, make sure you do. This is going to come in handy in a lot of applications, one of which later on, when we're checking our answers, when we're solving, is going to come in handy. So, steps. Put your parentheses around your letters. Step 2. Take out the letters, replace them with numbers. Substitution. 3, Pemdas, okay, and I guess I could write Pemdas to simplify. Okay, so after you've done it, you're essentially doing a Pemdas problem to simplify it. And you're going to do that every single time you have these types of problems. Alright, so we're going to do another one. Actually, we're going to do two more. I'm going to leave the original problems up here so we can see what they are. So, negative x, and we want to substitute when x equals 2, y equals negative 2. Alright, so my steps. Put parentheses around the letters. So, if you have a negative next to a letter, make sure you don't include it, because that's not included, just the letter. Okay, I'm going to rewrite what we have. Okay, and now I'm going to take out the letters. Okay, I took out the letters, and I'm going to replace them with numbers, making sure you put them in the right spot. Okay, I don't want to take out a goalie and put in, I don't know, a forward or something like that. They have to go in the right spot. So 2 goes here, and y goes here. The problem is not always going to give it to you in alphabetical order, so make sure you're paying attention. Okay, now I'm going to use Pemdas. So using Pemdas, I can see that I have to multiply before I add. So negative 2, or a positive times a negative gives me a negative. Okay, when I'm subtracting, if the signs are the same, I'm going to add them together. I'm going to keep my sign. Okay, we're going to do one more problem. Okay, and before we do this problem, we're going to do a review of exponents. We did a video about this under integers, but we're going to do a recap. So if I have negative 3 squared versus negative 3 squared. So let's start with this one. If I have negative 3 squared, that means negative 3 times negative 3. When I'm multiplying and I have a pair, when the pair agrees on sign, I get a positive answer. Okay? In this case, this is a Pemdas rule. Okay? So in Pemdas, this portion is my exponent. This portion is my multiplication. So what this says is I'm going to do 3 times 3. Sorry, I'm going in that. I'm going to do 3 times 3 first. I got to do my exponents before I multiply. So negative 3 squared is actually done 3 squared and then negative. So that's going to give me a negative 9. So without parentheses, I get a negative 9. With parentheses, I get a positive 9. So, keeping this in the backs of our minds, let's do the next and last problem in this video. Okay, and that is this one. So I have y squared plus 7y plus 1. And we're going to be substituting in or evaluating when y is equal to negative 3. Okay, so rule, put parentheses around your letters. Okay, and underneath of it, I'm going to rewrite our problem without the letters. So I go, whoa! I got a y squared plus 7 and then plus 1. And I think you'll probably start noticing what's going to happen. So when I put my negative 3 in here, and I do a negative 3 times a negative 3. So negative 3 times negative 3, I end up with a positive 9. If we hadn't put those parentheses around that negative, as we just saw in the previous review that I just did, we would have come up with a negative answer. So it's really, really important that you always put parentheses around your letter, because you will get a negative answer if you don't. And if you want to see more about that, you can look back at the integer videos that I've posted, but you really have to put parentheses around it to get a positive answer. So negative 3 squared is 9. Negative times a negative is a positive. Minus positive times a negative is a negative, plus 1. Alright, so I'm going to get rid of this. Alright, so I have 9 minus 21 plus 1. So it doesn't really matter the order in which you add. I'm going to put these together just to make it a little bit easier. So negative 21 plus 1 gives me a negative 20. I'm going to bring down my 9. 9 minus 20 is going to give me a negative 11. And that's our final answer. So, to recap, when you're doing these types of problems, make sure you put parentheses around the letters. Make sure that you replace them. Replace the letters with the numbers in the right order. And make sure you do Pemdas when you simplify. When you have problems that have exponents, it's really important that you put parentheses around the letters. And if you don't, you'll come up with a negative answer if you started out with a negative. Alright, thanks for watching, and in the next video we're going to talk about the distributive property and combining like terms. Thanks for watching. GoPro, stop recording.